Good morning, everybody. We're here bright and early. Oh, I'm trying to sit so you can see my tree. Hold on, I need to figure it out because I'm very proud of my tree. Figure it out, guys. No, I need to go this way. I can't think crooked. I actually probably think crooked all the time. Okay. I love my little tree from Oregon. It's my first live tree since I was a kid, and my first live tree that I ever bought in my life. Good morning, Posted Up. Good to see you. How's my favorite nebula? Okay, I'm going to sit on the side because I like the tree. Is it weird? My hair is doing something funky too. Is it weird? Can I do this? Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a little more normal. Okay. It's good to see everybody. Did you enjoy your 2 weeks? Good morning. Obviously, Small Wildflowers Posted Up. Good morning, Margie. Good morning, Katerina. Good morning, Cece Pops. I got to tell you, I'm calling it Dougie because it's a Douglas fir. My friend took me the day before Thanksgiving to go get a tree, and Home Depot didn't sell them. Like, you had to wait till the day after Thanksgiving. So my hair is bugging me right now. It's not looking right. It's looking wrong. Anyway, so I got home and I decided to order it online and have it delivered. And I was all excited. I didn't realize it was actually coming from Oregon. I thought it was going to come from Home Depot in Laguna Niguel. So it took a few extra days, but I got to tell you, pretty well worth it. My neighbor and I were out there with a handsaw sawing off the end of the tree, which I haven't done in a million years. That was kind of fun. And I'm achy all over my right side, but it's been fun. So welcome, everybody. It's the holiday season. And let's just say this. The tension during this season is going to be it's going to be big, I think, personally. We got some transits going on. Mars went retrograde 2 days ago on the 6th. I did a video on that, so check that out. I did a Gemini full moon video, which I think is going to focus a lot on media and information. So check that out. But this week, we've been feeling Neptune, it went direct. So that's kind of interesting. So Neptune's heading now towards Aries. We're going to experience a grand conjunction between the North Node in Pisces, Neptune, and Saturn are going to be traveling back and forth into Aries and then retrograding. That's all going to happen around April during that period of time. I tell you this now because the opposition that's growing again between Mars and Pluto with Venus this week in the mix. Venus has moved in or will move into Aquarius this week. And on the 11th, she will be in an exact opposition to Mars in Leo. And this just feels very fiery to me. And it feels on finances and freedom, like my money, my stuff, and that's Venus in Aquarius. I also think that Pluto's loose opposition within 5 degrees. I like to keep these kind of tight, but there's this constant conversation going on between Mars and Pluto lately. And it reminds me of West Side Story. Because, if you remember the old movie West Side Story, it was about these two rival gangs, right? Looking for territory and power. But Mars is not in the good position here. I mean, Mars is currently in Leo, but it's going to move back into Cancer. So I think that being mindful right now of irritations, of old resentments, especially if it has to do with something to do with the exchange of energy in the material. I want to call it money, but it could be, you borrowed my pot like 6 months ago and you never returned it. There's just this weird feeling that I don't know why I want to say this. There's a feeling that old history comes up. Maybe this is Saturn sort of playing in the background, but old irritations come up that have to do with abuses of power. Like this could be family abuses of power. You always do this when you come to my house. You always walk, there's just something. Be mindful, of the snooper. Don't invite the snooper in, or whatever the case may be. So that's my big thing. Mercury is going to turn direct on the 15th. That's going to be actually next Sunday. So Mercury will be slowing down in its, as it starts to prepare to move direct, and it will be making a pretty favorable aspect to Mars. So we have where Venus, my beauty, my self-worth, my money, my skills. That's the other thing. It could have to do with your skills. There could be this thing like you want to do the holidays your way, and there's this resentment that you feel if you don't go with what you've always known. When Mars moves back into Cancer, we're talking about the sign of home and hearth and family traditions. And Mars isn't comfortable here. And there's a lot of, right now there's a lot of old crap bubbling up in everybody's life, including our country's life, wherever we are, because the whole world is experiencing this, and within our own individual lives. So I just want to make you all mindful that Mars and Pluto's energy right now, they're still fighting and arguing. And this could be also where you find that, because I'm also very concerned about the media this week and about this full moon in Gemini that's coming up. There are some interesting aspects. Again, check out that moon. But I feel like we're going to hear more and more about news that's been sort of fixed or aberrated or adjusted, or a pattern in the media where we don't know things that we should know, and getting into conflicts or things that we should be aware of. So be mindful. And the other thing I just want to say is tuck in, man. My whole thing is when I have no control over the planets, I just try to tuck in and stay away from people that bug me. I can't even tell you how much my hair is bugging me right now. I wish I could stay away from my hair, or at least looking at it. And I have lipstick on, but you never know it. All right, that's just the way this is going to roll today. Good morning, Stacy. Good to see you. You got your first live tree yesterday too? Oh, you know what? I had such bah humbug Christmases for so long. I literally never had a tree, never decorated. I came from a divorced family. Christmas is always a big pain in the ass. I never ever did my parents say, "Oh, make your list for Santa." It's like, I felt like I was like 100 years old my whole life. So this year I got a live tree because I paid good money for one of those balsam tree hills. And after like 5 years, the lights died. And if the lights die, you cannot get in there, and you might as well throw it out. That's my personal opinion. It's not worth the time and the effort. So that's why I got the tree. And as I look at Dougie, that's what I'm calling him, Dougie Fur from Oregon, DFO. He's just beautiful. He's soft and supple and seems so happy to be here. Oh, and the other thing I did, should I show you? Okay, hold on. I hope I don't make you crazy, but look. I took all the boxes from how do I do this? There we go. Do you see all those presents? You see all those presents? They are all the boxes from my Lennox collection that would normally be put in my closet, and I decided to wrap them and put them under the tree. So I'm very excited. All right, now that I've totally messed up, all right, let's get on with business here. And let me plug back in the computer. Hold on, I need to do that. Clearly, I'm feeling Mercury retrograde. We won't even talk about Uranus's retrograde. So, if all sorts of funny things are going on with your computers and your electronics, be mindful. It just makes me feel good to do it. Honestly, it's like a little art project for me. It has nothing to do with really the celebration of the holiday. It just makes me feel warm and cozy at night. I haven't even begun to adjust my little figurine village yet. I have all these little characters I'm going to bring out. And so, yeah. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I'm not going to say it isn't. But this year, I just decided that I've been so bah humbug, and the whole October, November month was really rough on me. And I just said, I got to jump in and do something to make myself feel good, because if I don't make myself feel good, nobody's going to do it. So good morning, little grasshopper. All right. So, good morning, Queen Leo. It's good to see you. I know a lot of people that aren't decorating, I really truly think that the decoration is not, it's about you. And if you don't want to decorate, don't decorate. Don't do anything that doesn't feel authentic. That's me. I have to tell you, yesterday was a big, and I trucked into town and I had to buy lights. And then I found out I already had lights because I bought them for the broken tree yesterday or last year. But I just surrendering to all the mayhem and all the dumb things that I have to do over, and all the little weird stuff that's been happening that gets in my way that wants to irritate me. So I really think that, there's a lot of things going on in the stars. There always is. But there are these main themes that are happening, and that Mars-Pluto opposition is the big thing that is so powerful in the background, because it's happening like in a ripple effect with not only within our own lives, but on a world stage. Pluto is that dark criminal kind of power and control. Mars is anger, war, frustration. So we're walking through that. And Jupiter in Gemini, I really think, is playing this kind of, this song in the background that's asking us how we think and how we take in media. So again, be mindful that this full moon could really bring in an illumination. You could even find out that in your own world, somebody's been talking crap about you, or, an old issue with a sibling, cousin, or relative, neighbor. I have to be very careful, because the people above me are just like freaking, they're the banger people. I don't know what they do. They're constantly nailing something in the wall. Like, I don't know what they could be hanging something. And so I just really, good morning, Martina. I just really I'm just like, okay, Lord, give me the kumbaya. Give me the inner strength to ignore what is happening in the outside world. Because on New Year's Eve, this is the other thing. I'm going to tell you this every week. Mars and Pluto are going to be in an exact opposition. 1 degree, Mars will be at 1 degree Leo, still in fire. Okay. Still wanting to, express himself in his own way, have pleasure and fun. And Pluto's going to be in Aquarius. And this opposition is different than the one in Capricorn. When Pluto was in Capricorn, it had a more restricted energy, a little bit more control in not being reactive. But now that it's in Aquarius, there's that unexpected factor that Pluto plays with. So Pluto brings up some unexpected old story or something that has to do with power and control. And for some reason, as I was meditating this morning, it just kept coming to me. It's going to have to do with my money in some way. Either somebody wants my money, somebody's trying to make me pay something, or something just, I don't know. Just be mindful of people. It could even be something like this. Somebody invalidates your ability to make money, or they do just something to do. I don't know. I'm not going to try to get into it. There's thousands of you out there, but be mindful and don't let yourself get too locked into other people's opinions. So we're going to do our readings today. And I decided to I'm going to do 4-card tarot like I did a couple weeks ago, and just kind of play with the tarot. I'm enjoying doing new things. Exactly, Katerina. I have the same thing. They come up so late. I'm such a smart ass. I wanted to buy a pair of socks and put them on the doorstep and say, here's some socks to go with your concrete boots. Because I swear to God, I don't know what is wrong with these people. I don't know if they have drop foot, maybe. I don't know. But maybe they've never lived in an apartment, but it is like living beneath King Kong, honestly. And the guy is just like a cusser. He's a grown ass man, pardon my language, and he can't have a civil conversation. All he ever says is, I think I'm a good neighbor. I'm like, well, I don't. Because I'm so, so shy. All right, we're starting with our birthday month. As usual, we're going to do a 4-card spread. This is based on rising sign. But the more I do this work, the more I am convinced that the moon is so important. There's a certain chart that I've looked at with a stellium. That's lots of planets, 3 or more planets, personal planets in Aquarius. And yet this person has a Pisces moon. And I'm telling you, that Pisces moon dominates that Aquarian energy. So I really encourage you all to check your moon signs, okay? I think this might be a little rogue for the real world out there, but the more I look at how we are emotional beings and how we are triggered into action through our emotions, I think it's time to pay attention to them. And this is not about giving into your emotions, okay? This is about using them as a measure of where to take your action. So if you're frustrated and angry, that's not a good time to take action. If you have no faith, mood, exactly. Plus the dark side of the moon. It's so important to pay attention to this part of the moon that always faces space and feels alone and in the dark. And if humans, I don't want to make it like I want to be a whiny baby. This is about being emotionally, having an emotional IQ and knowing that your emotions are kicking in the law of attraction, the law of compensation, the law of ebb and flow. And so if you're aware of this, then you can direct yourself by then saying to spirit or to the universe or to God, the angels, I'm not in good place right now. I need you to help me get myself together. You guys know, I told you before, emotional intelligence. There you go. I told you before about the character on TikTok and how much that affected me. And that was the first time in all the years that I've been interacting with dramas that I actually asked God to give me inner peace. I said, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why this is happening, but it's really affecting me and I need inner peace. And yes, it took a month before I actually felt it, but when I did, it felt like a gift that was being given to me because I woke up one day and I felt reconciled with the whole situation. And this is part of why I decorated, because to me, the decorations are me getting back to Teri. I'm a Venus moon and a Venus sun. There we go. All right. So let's start with it's our Sagittarius, right? What's the date? Yeah, we're in Sagittarius. Oh, Stephen, it's your birthday month, isn't it? Or you said, yeah, you're Sag. The Jupiterian, of course. Happy birthday to all my Sagittarians. Oh, look at Luxter. There's a little Luxter. All right, here we go. We're going to do a 4-card spread, and we're going to go around the Zodiac. Oh, Sag rising. That's right. Okay. Oh, you're Sag. Sag moon, of course. Yeah. Sag rising sun. I really think Sagittarius has got to such an advantage when you check into those points in the Shapley cluster and take them and use them as real tools in the material, you can create so much. Okay, so let's see what Spirit has to offer you with this opposition this week. Happy-go-lucky. That's what Sagittarius really is. Very happy-go-lucky. I'm the Taurus moon, yeah. All right, here we go. Our first tarot card in the foundational position is the Ace of Cups. That's the Ace of Love. Then we have the 5 of Swords. This is a little challenging. Let's see what's going on here. Then we have the 4 of Swords. And then we have the Magician. Okay, so we talked about this opposition, right? And the reason that we do these readings is what does Spirit want us to know about how to walk through these transits with love. The phases of the moon, look at it right there. People are going to be very strangely emotional over really weird things. And there could be a bit of a deflection where people are upset about one thing, but then they go off about something else. Or they get, they're something's brewing in the back of their head, and then they, use salt instead of sugar, and they lose their mind. Because here is this 5 of Swords. It's a contention. This is an argument. You could win the argument, but will you really win? God is saying, give it a rest. Don't engage. Give it a rest because it won't be worth. This is the thing. The more that I've done astrology, the more I actually do see the characteristics of people and their planets. And if you're wired like I am, which is to move, to try to fix things, to try to, I'm a fighter by nature with my Aries rising. You can't push a Pisces rising to fight. That's not what they're going to do, you know? So be mindful, because you have the Magician here, Sagittarius, and through your mind and through your ability to be aware and to walk through something lovingly, you can probably diffuse a situation. But I think there's almost this strange surrender to it. One of the challenges with Sagittarius is that it's so expansive and so diverse and has so many experiences. It knows a lot of stuff. And sometimes if you're dealing with people that don't know as much stuff, you could think, oh, I can help you. Let me give you that information. But sometimes people don't want information. They just want to be where they are. So I think that this is the best way to be the Magician, is to use all your tools. And when I look at this guy in this deck, and it's interesting how I use different decks for different days, he's actually aware of the tools, but he's not using them. In the other deck that I used a couple weeks ago, the Magician is actually commanding. She's in this cloak and she's commanding what she wants into the physical. He knows he can do it. He's just waiting for the right moment. So I think that you might be tasked a little bit to be a bit of the wise sage, but zip it. And that could be that Venus opposition. So that's where I'm going with that today. Now we're going to go on to our Capricorns. I've missed you all, but I got to tell you, it's been a very productive couple of weeks. Now I just got to record everything. Okay, here we go. For our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And again, you know, that moon sign, that's something else I'm preparing too. I'm going to go through tell you all about your moons. And while I'm shuffling for Capricorn, I want to offer this because, you know, I'm a late degree Libra rising, and we'll teach you, Martina. You just get me your information, and I'll tell you. I'll give you a little in brief. But I want to offer this because I just forgot what I was going to say. It happens. All right, let's go on to Capricorn. All right, and the angels' first advice. The Eight of Swords. Okay, lot to think about. The moon. Oh, you're being tasked to go deep into your heart, to your mind. Away from Six of Wands. And then the Knight of Swords. Okay, so this is a little interesting. So Capricorn, the Eight of Swords is... it's a very, there's too many things to think about. There's too many things to worry about. There's too many things to consider. Okay. Now, if you are a Capricorn moon, you could be considering things from fear, like, oh my God, if I don't do that, if I don't go to my aunt's for Christmas, I'm going to be in such shit with my family. Oh my God, I don't want to go to my aunt's for Christmas this year. I just don't want to go. That's the kind of stuff that could be going on in your head. Okay. I don't want to make it like so crazy that, you know, the whole world's falling apart, but there's this feeling of you're trapped in all these obligations. Now, if you notice, this character's eyes are blindfolded because it's not Capricorn. This is about practicing coming from your emotional body. Here's where the moon comes in and the victory comes in, is to do what is emotionally authentic to you. This is kind of an interesting dynamic because, you know, yes, the first time you put yourself first, maybe it's a little bit disruptive to people who are used to you being routine or habitual. But in order for you to really be you and enjoy what Pluto's been doing through your first house, it's time to go on your own. You know, look at the eagle that leads this character up what looks like treacherous territory. But at the same time, that's the territory of the mind. The swords in the tarot deck are always going to represent the air element, how you think, how you process things. And oftentimes as humans, we process through the opinions of others. How will that person respond to me doing this? How will that? And, you know, while we want to feel connected to other people every once in a while, especially with the Mars-Pluto opposition. So let's do this. Okay, let's be like little cuckoo. I just said Pluto, but I mean Venus as well. Because What if during the holidays somebody comes up to you and they're like, oh my God, I'm so broke. Can you help me? You know, and Capricorn is like, oh my God, I have the money, but I don't know, this cousin's never paid me back, or some obligation, something that I just feel like it has to do with money. I don't know why. And you got to say no. And you always said yes. Or you think if you say no, everybody's going to think you're la 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 la. Because here there's something about having to, if you don't individualize the way you're thinking and come from what's truly authentic in your heart, you're going to pay a bigger price for it. Oh my gosh, Jules, that's so wild because, Pluto rules plumbing and all that kind of stuff too. So not only does it, because of all that water, I don't know, I just kind of feel like that has something to do with it. Welcome to all you lurkers. So, okay, so that's for my Capricorns. That Knight of Swords may initially feel a little bit alone, but for some reason, I feel like this is the other thing too. 48 days without power, that is nuts. I don't even know how that happens. That's like going back to 1842. But anyway, Capricorn, you have worked so hard with Pluto's transit through your first house to allow yourself to look at what you need, what you want, how you emote. And I think that this is like a 2.0 version of that as you walk through the holidays with with putting yourself as a priority rather than putting your obligations as a priority. Okay. That makes more sense. 8 days makes a lot more sense. 48 days would be like going on Naked and Afraid, if you ask me. Like, I don't even think that I could do that. Although I have a lot of, well, they wouldn't last very long. I was going to say battery powered lights. Okay, here we go. On to our Aquariuses. Now, Aquarius, you have Pluto moving into your first house. Every astrologer on earth will tell you Pluto, first thing, death. Well, let me tell you right now, there's no such thing as death. There is only transformation. And Einstein actually proved that in the material world with his theory of relativity, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me into that too much because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But this is where I'm going. This next few years, as depending upon what planets are in Aquarius, depending upon what house this is for you. I mean, obviously first house but if you're a moon and a sun, this is a real opportunity to be a little bit rebellious, to look to the future, and to allow the privilege at this moment in time to think, hey, maybe my real life's purpose or my hopes and dreams are fulfilled at a time when technology catches up with me. And I've been preparing myself emotionally and spiritually this whole period of time because my soul came into this lifetime knowing that during this chapter of my life, I would have this Pluto transit. Because it could bring in some really great things, but it's gonna knock out whatever is not in balance, wherever there has been, toxicity. Okay, here we go. For our Aquariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This opposition is also, pretty poignant between the planets for you because you're sitting there. 3 of Pentacles fell out of the deck. I'm taking it. Meaning the opposition first early between Venus, then Venus is going to move past Pluto and become exact on the 11th. So we're feeling this all week, which is why this is the only transit I'm talking about. Because all the other ones have been in play for a while. In the opportunity, the obstacle, the 9 of Pentacles. Then we have the 10 of Pentacles. Oh, this is about money. This is about earning money. And I said, didn't I say this opposition was going to be about money? And then the 10 of Swords. Okay. Aquarius, the 3 of Pentacles is about your job. It's Mars in Capricorn. It's working to make money. It's in a team. Okay. If for some reason you have been concerned, because this is a worry card, we end with a worry card, and I might have to pull another one because this is pretty dramatic. But the other cards are saying money is here for you. Literally, the 9 of Pentacles is a woman who makes her own money, and the 10 of Pentacles is traditional money and history money and big money. It's a treasure chest. And oftentimes you will see that, like when I look at this, I wonder if Aquarius is contemplating continuing working in a job with others, or potentially thinking about doing something on your own, or starting to build something on your own, but maybe worrying that the resources won't be there. Let me pull one more card on that 10 of Swords. Ooh, the Devil is there. That's challenging. I'm not going to say it isn't. Somebody is clipping your freedoms, Aquarius. Somebody is, or something is pulling your something's puppeteering a little bit here. That 10 of Swords on top of the Devil card tells me that somebody's, I almost feel like your income, your job, your career. And if for some reason you're an entrepreneur and you've been doing your own thing, don't let your mind mess with you. Like, kind of think if on some level you've been working so hard that you're starting to feel a little burnout, but you think, I got to keep working, otherwise there'll be no money. That's the problem with being an entrepreneur. I got to pull one more card. Sorry, because I can't leave Aquarius on this Devil card. I just can't do that to you. It's too difficult. Because I also want to note this. In this deck, the Devil's eyes have to be closed, because in order to truly connect, you've got to kind of block out what's fearful. You know, when an animal is super scared about something and you're trying to transport it, especially an animal that's large, you cover its eyes because it tends to diminish the fear. So let's see where we're going. Something big is happening for Aquarius this week. There's the Judgment card. Literally, something's happening. There's going to be a decision that's made. And maybe it comes because there's an argument or a fight with someone and you're just like, done. Wow. Maybe it's like you're not going to let anybody pull maybe the thing with Aquarius is you're done having someone pull the money cards on you. You know, this woman is the one with the money. Wow. All right. Well, I'll be working on Aquarius for about an hour if I don't move on, but something's coming into play for you. I'm not surprised. You're a warrior by nature. Okay. You're a rebel. You want freedom. So it's all good. All right. On to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Yeah, well, I think the Gilded Age is also a gilded cage, and there may be some people breaking out of that gilded cage. You know, it was a Uranus transit, which is Aquarius, ruling planet, that had me start my own job. I got pissed off because somebody was overly controlling and critical of me, and I basically said, F off. I can't do this anymore. 3 years under this little, she was a tyrant, and I had been building Teri the whole 3 years, but I was never going to feel comfortable. I was never like, oh, I have enough money in the bank. I just had to leap. And that's the great thing about being Aries, having my Aries rising, because it made, I was more mad than I was scared. All right, here we go. Stephen, you broke out of the box recently. You started getting a new job? Are you doing your astrology now? All right, here we go. We're going on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What does Spirit have to say for you this week during this very pivotal transit? And I think the holidays just exasperate everything. Oop. I have this very strange, weird habit, I got to tell you guys, and I don't know why, but I'm going to confess it right now to you all. When I shuffle, I don't use this finger, and I don't know why, because this finger actually holds the cards better. And the other day, I unconsciously went back to this finger, and I said to Spirit, why do I do that? And they said, because that finger got cut off in a past life. I have Neptune on my South Node right now. So a lot of stuff is coming up for me. All right, here we go. I'm trying to practice using my real finger now because it works so much better. See how much it works? I don't know. I like to make things hard on myself. All right, Pisces, where are we going? In the foundational position, we have the Three of Wands, looking to the future, planning your future. We have the Hanged Man, which is about taking a bit of a pause. We have the High Priestess in the Angel's Advice. And then finally, we have the Knight of Wands. You know, I want to offer this because, Pisces, you have the North Node heading into your first house. And the North Node is something we're stretching for. It's a point that the soul has not experienced and it wants to. When you have the North Node coming into your first house, you're wanting to experience yourself, the truth of who you are. And when I look at the Hanged Man, I think that this is, oh wait, sorry, I should go first to the Three of Wands. You know, he's looking out to sea. He's looking to his future. He's looking to where he wants to go. And I think in this deck that it's very poignant that the ship is so big, because this is really about emotionally, where do you want to go? So often, because Pisces rules the 12th house, it's considered like this invisible place. It's also a place that's very difficult for humans because it's so empathetic and so compassionate that the darkness in the world really affects Pisces in a way that hits them emotionally hard. And so here I think that the Hanged Man and the High Priestess is telling you and reminding you that Saturn's transit through your first house is tasking you and requiring you to build a strong connection with your soul, with what it is that you want on a soul level, not your ego and your personality. Because, you know, Saturn going through your first house and triggering your ego can make you feel very less than. And you already tend to take a supporting position. Or when the spotlight is put on you, those dark seas, you're not used to the bright light. You know, you're used to the dark seas because it's time to step out and be more passionate with what you're doing in your life. And the Pluto, I think that Venus, you know, could potentially, I'm talking in like so Geminian right now, like little short bits. Pluto and Venus are over here hovering in late a Capricorn Venus and early Aquarius. Pluto's at 1 degree, 0 degrees of Aquarius. Opposing that is Mars at 6 degrees, ready to retrograde. And that's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. The tighter that gets, the more Pluto and Venus's energy in Aquarius is like, I want to be me. I want to use my skills. I don't want to do anything else for anybody else. And here, I think that this is what's really, look to the future, you know, from your soul's perspective, not your personality and your ego, because that's where you'll find passion, where you'll find meaning, where you'll find a sense of, how do I want to phrase this? You know, sometimes when we finally claim our passions, it gives so much meaning to the road to those passions. You know, how many beautiful songs have been written because of heartbreak, because of betrayal? Those are Piscean, okay? So that's where I'm going with this. So enjoy. We're going on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Take a little sip of my juice. Exactly. Pretty much all of them. And except maybe Bruno Mars, he has some fun songs about love, you know, but he even wrote some sad songs. Okay, here we go. This is our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. As I'm shuffling, I'm seeing in my head, Neptune and Saturn are going to travel together into Aries, and then they're both going to retrograde back into Pisces. Those early born Aries, 0, 1, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, even up to 4 degrees of Aries, you're going to feel that. It's going to be huge. And at the same time, the North Node is, you know, clearly it's been hovering in those early degrees of Aries, and then it's going to move into Pisces. And then later in the year, we're going to have Mercury and Venus joining this planetary configuration. And I say that because I think being prepared right now, because as Neptune moves into Aries, this is very powerful. The last time that Neptune moved into Aries, it was 1862 in the midst of the Civil War in the United States. And the interesting thing is that both the Revolutionary War and the Civil War were being lost by the eventual winners. And then with the Civil War, the entry of Neptune, to me, gives an opportunity this time to infuse spirituality into our individuality and into our warfare, for lack of a better term, because Aries rules war. So be aware of these transits coming up, because the things you're thinking and the actions you're taking now, your ruling planet is part of this opposition. So you being able to reconcile your angers, your resentments, your, wherever your hotness feels a little out of balance, and you want to channel that into passion. Okay, our first card is the Knight of Swords. Okay, that's pretty significant. We just saw that. That's going your own way, think in your own way. The Five of Wands is about competition, bickering, and fighting. The Eight of Cups, Spirit is saying, walk away from the fighting. Do not engage, Aries. And then finally, the Strength card. I think truly, I believe that these planets that we all come into, like, me having such a strong personality, my life's mission is to learn how to be myself, but be diplomatic and be open and not be too dominant. And then we have, our Pisces energy, which is very soft and very cooperative, so you're here to step yourself up, and Aries might be here to, be more open-minded. Because where I'm going with this is, somehow you need to pay attention to what you're thinking. That eagle is telling you that God and the angels are telling you to take an angelic look. Be majestic in your behavior. Be majestic in how you show up, because there is going to be fighting. And I've been talking about this the whole time. And the fighting could be around you. It could be in your head. It could be you're fighting, because this is a very spiritual thing. You're walking away. You're emotionally saying, I'm not going to engage. And then you make a shift. There's the Strength card. This is literally Leo. Where is Mars right now? In Leo. So keep your eye on your passions. This is partially why I decorated as well. Because when I decorate, my mind goes into creative mode, and I don't think about things that piss me off. And even when they're banging upstairs, if I'm focused on what I'm doing, it's less irritating to me. I don't know why. So I think, Aries, this is about channeling your, up until now, whatever angers, frustrations, resentments, old crap that you can't really do anything about, into something creative and passionate and something that's about you. And the Strength card is always about taming the beast. So where I was going is, as an Aries, my nodal structure is South Node Aries, North Node Libra. I am here to learn how to be a peacemaker. I am here to learn how to bring others into harmony and peace, and yet be themselves. And now that I understand because I used to try to change who I was to be like what other people thought I should be. You're too hot, you're too picky, you're too this, you're too that. I'm like, I'm always going to be too something. So I just surrendered, and I started to be Teri and be okay with it, and then invite other people to be themselves. And then I started to meet people who like to be themselves. Oh my gosh, Small, you almost lost your job. Saturn in your 10th house of Pisces. That's what's going on right there. And I got to tell you too, because I'm going to just run into a quick story. When yes, the law of attraction. I told you guys I moved to North Carolina years ago. And when I moved home, I lost everything I own in the move. I don't know if I've ever told you that I spent 2 years bitching and complaining to spirit. I just want to wipe the slate clean and start over. I'm so sick of everything. I just want everything to go away. I never in a million years thought that I was declaring something that I would experience in a couple of years. So I have become very aware of what I say to myself, because it actually physically happened. So if you don't want your job, if you don't want to lose your job, don't say I hate my job. There you go. And if you're lying to yourself and you're saying that out of fear, you could lose your job anyway. Anyway, let's go on to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Exactly, Lucy Rose. And the subconscious is what is sending the message to the universe. That's why you want to line them up. And I've always been pretty good at that. It doesn't mean I've not been like completely hot human. And my stubborn bull, moon, I've got that Taurus moon. And because of my late degree Aries, right? All my Aries energy is in the 12th house of getting in my own way. My Mars energy got in my own way. So no matter how loving I am, people only see my dominance. So now, and that also contributes because my moon is in that first house of Taurus. So, I love with a bit of a bullish, I can't help myself. I try to be more demure. It just doesn't work. Maybe next lifetime. I doubt I'll do it, but maybe next lifetime. Because I can't imagine myself planning a lifetime and then planning on being demure and weak and falling prey to other people's dominance. I just can't imagine it. So I have to tame my own dominance. That's how it works. Okay, we're on to our Tauruses. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself right now. Oh my God, you know what? You just reminded me, Lucy Rose. I swear to you. Okay, so you guys know I'm 65 years old. I've told you that many times. As I've started to age, since I turned 65, I hear my mother's voice when it comes out of my mouth. Like as my mom, like it's really kind of spooky to me because I think I'm starting to sound like her. I'm not sure I like that. Okay. Thank you very much. There's only really one way to go. You either embrace aging or, you don't. But I personally have been looking forward to being an old lady since I was in my 30s. But back in my 30s, I didn't know what my face would look like. But I do like it because I just don't have the same angst. I have a lot more peace. Okay. Taurus, one of these days, I got to start using the right finger. Do you see what happens when I don't use the right finger? And it's, I really, where did that go? Oh, there it is. I've got to practice. I think I was a reader in a past life and I got my finger cut off. Or I was, bow and arrow. Do you guys know how this came into being? Did you ever know that? Because, okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick story if you know it already. Back in the day, Robin Hood days, we'll say, everybody used a bow and arrow, right? So when you wanted to hurt somebody or you wanted to mess with them, you cut off this finger because then they couldn't shoot their bow and arrow. So what happened was when you would meet someone and you didn't like them, you would show them that you could shoot. That's how that all started. And I learned that on Drunken History. I don't know if you guys remember that show, Drunken History. Anyway, all right, I digress. I guess I've missed y'all because I just feel a little playful today, less businessy. Isn't that funny? I think it's totally funny. And it makes sense. And some things are just enduring. It was a good show, yeah. I did not feel the earthquake either, but I'm really south of that earthquake. Okay, Taurus. In the foundational position is the Three of Wands, looking to the future again. Then we have the Seven of Cups. Then we have the Two of Cups. And we have the Six of Pentacles. Okay. As I looked at this, the Three of Wands, it's literally your ship is coming in. It's not just looking to the future. There's something that's been starting to fall. There's been something that a momentum has been built. And while you now are in the receiving mode, you can't necessarily make anything happen. I think it's important to pay attention to what you want in the future because this may have something to do with love. for you. Because when I got the Seven of Cups, I thought, love is always, a double-edged sword. Because when you love someone, you are vulnerable. There's no way to love someone else and be safe, really, because even if you're in the best relationship in the world, they could pass over. I mean, there's just there's pitfalls everywhere. And I think that this is about loving, Taurus. I think this is about leaving whatever insecurities, worries, trepidations, whatever the icky story could potentially be, or the troublesome story is. No, just look to the moment, embrace the moment, because I think Spirit's trying to give you a gift in the material. This is the Six of Pentacles. This is where a benefactor is giving something. And this makes me feel as if something you want's coming in. So if you are not in a loving relationship, or this could even involve friends, because Venus rules female friendships. And I think that's in play here today, because the opposition that we feel doesn't always have to be an opposition that happens in the outside world. Pluto's a very psychological planet. And while, Mars rules the war in the material world, Pluto rules the war you have inside yourself, So here for my Tauruses, there could be something that's coming in and you're starting to feel it, but you have to be vulnerable to allow it in. So if it's something that you've always wanted, then it's time to start to trust that the universe is bringing it in. And the time to collect the reward is. We tend as astrologers and as humans in general to always look at the uphill climb. We talk very briefly about the reward these planets have. Everything has two sides, but when do we ever get the reward? It always seems like it's like, oh, I got more work to do, more work to do. There's no work to do. It's about receiving. Am I in a receiving energy? Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is a receptive feminine energy. It's not about being a girl or a boy. It's about the law of attraction. So you put out a thought and then you receive something back. So now it's time, Uranus, to liberate you from your old self, from all that old crap that used to be there, and be like, okay, so that was then, this is now. And now I'm going to start to reap the rewards. That feels kind of good to me. Really good, actually. All right, here we go. I think, this is where Pluto brings in the billionaires, not the millionaires. Okay. Saturn brings in endurance, things that last a long time. So money, relationships. You don't want to look in a synastry chart and not see some Saturn aspects. You want to see commitment and discipline and endurance. So it's about how you use the energy. So those beautiful trines are great. I'm glad you noticed it. I have some sextiles in my chart from Pluto to like my Jupiter and to my Chiron. And I'm hoping that's going to be the transformation of my wound in a way that's a little bit more obvious. And sure, would I like to win the lotto too? All right, on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, small wildflowers. Thank you, everybody in the room. Oops. It's such a habit to go to this, just to hold that one finger out. I don't know why. I don't even know how that ever happened. Okay. For our Geminis, our first angel, I shouldn't say angel, our first tarot card is the King of Pentacles. That's Jupiter. That feels like, I know Jupiter is not an Earth planet per se, but it feels, Jupiter rules wealth and expansion and a lot of big money. Then we have the 10 of Swords. There's worry. Then we have the 7 of Cups. And finally, the 8 of Pentacles. This is an interesting energy, because you have Jupiter going through your first house, and Jupiter's currently retrograde. When I look at this, I feel like Gemini, here you are, you rule the information highway, you rule, the twins. And I feel like this is about becoming a little bit more solid, a little bit more, how can I play it? When I say solid, it's like I feel like Spirit is saying, Gemini, you're going back and forth thinking from your head and from fear, and it's time to go from your heart, because that's where they want you to anchor in and be the king of your own life. Because here's that Ten of Swords. This is worry, worry, drama, drama. Nothing's happened, but I feel like I'm going to die. And then there's this cup, these cups. Everything has a double-edged sword, or everything is a double-edged sword, has two sides to it. Now, this to me is like this is the Eight of Pentacles, literally making money. So this is where I'm going. Gemini, somewhere, and if indeed maybe your job was, you were worried about your job, it's going to be fine. Come from your heart, meaning I know I do a good job. I know, like every once in a while, I have clients who are in these huge dramas, and I will talk to them a lot, and then they'll disappear for months. Like I won't even hear from them. I don't even know what happened. And every once in a while I think about it, and then I'm like, well, when they need me, they'll find me. So that's what I want to say for my Geminis is this is your obstacle, is your mind going back and forth to a drama. And the angels are saying everything has two sides to it. Come from your heart. You'll have the money you need. You'll have the security you'll need. You'll have whatever the case is. And again, I'm going to say that, with Venus and Pluto conjunct opposing Mars, there could be, that could trigger you. It just really could. Because technically Cancer is your second house. And that's the house where you make your own money. All right, on to our Cancer. Speaking of Cancer. Did you see me start? You can't see me do it, but I got to show you. It's like this finger just wants to straighten out. It's so weird. It's so weird to notice things about myself that I do, and I've been doing them for decades, not just months. And yet I'm like, wow, how weird is that? To be so old and still learn things about myself is kind of funny sometimes. All right, on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first tarot card in the foundational position is the Five of Wands. In the opportunity or the obstacle is the Seven of Swords. We have the Lovers in the Angel's Advice. And then we have the Three of Wands. Okay. For my Cancers, the Five of Wands in this deck is straight up, these guys are bickering. They're arguing. There's a bit of competition. I don't know what is going on, but whatever, if you feel like you need to compete for something, Spirit is saying there's no need. This competition, walk away from it. You don't need it. It's not there. It's kind of hard to see because of the coloring of the card, but there's a fox in the foreground of this Seven of Swords. And the symbolism of fox is interesting because it can traverse in a very sly way the city streets and then the countryside. And I think this is about moving away and actually making a choice about what you want. This is the Lover's card in the Angel's Advice. And then we have looking to the future. So I want to offer it this way because, Cancer is the sign of the mother. It is the sign of the nurturer. It is the sign of an intuitive and a healer, but it's also the sign of home and hearth and the traditions, our countries of origin. So what I think is that there could potentially be bickering around you. There could be even people trying to engage you in, just a friendly little conversation. But I think that those that don't bring you peace, it's time to walk away from them. The Lover's card is not really, this is a Gemini energy, okay? And Gemini is your 12th house. So what I think this is really saying is it's not about the lovers at all. It's about the Gemini energy in your 12th house having an unconscious effect on how you've been making your decisions, and you don't want to fight with people. So I think you've got to this is the thing. Walking away from someone is never about a declaration. I'm leaving you. It's about a mental shift. I'm just going to kumbaya it, whatever. Because sometimes we care about people, but we don't always agree with them. Or we don't even, we have differing thoughts, but we don't want to destroy the relationship because this is somehow having you look to the future. Look long term. What do I really, really want? And I didn't notice this in the other reading, but there's a seagull that's very close up to this. So there's something again about, I mean, there's more than one now that I look, there's 4 seagulls in here, but there's one approaching like with the ship. And I almost feel like it's keeping your eye on a bigger prize. And I want to offer this as well, because crabs aren't known to argue. Okay. If there are argumentative people around you. Again, I said this at the beginning of the broadcast. It's the holidays and Aunt Susie wants me to come to her party, but I really can't stand her husband. He came in late in the game and he's just obnoxious and I really don't want to go to Aunt Susie's, but I feel like I have to go. The kids got sick. I don't feel well. Don't rub up against it. Long term, do your own thing. The long term, it'll make things easier because you don't want to be around it and you don't want to be part of it. Let's go on to our Leos. They can very much do their things. Crabs live under rocks most of the time, or under, sea rocks, whatever those things are. All right. Here we go. This is our Leo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Now you have the Pluto opposition in Aquarius. You're going to have it. And I want to offer this because as Leo rising, your, life path is very much about following your heart and having the courage to follow your heart. It's hard to be a Leo because you're a leader. Everyone says Leo rules the zodiac. And yet, the Wizard of Oz's Cowardly Lion can very much represent Leo. God bless you. You have everything you need, but sometimes you get scared. If I were king of the forest. So, because I think you're going to have to be charged to follow your heart and stick to it. Let's see where we're going. Justice card. This is very interesting. That's a Libra flare. It also has to do with potentially legal matters. Then we have the 5 of Swords. Ooh, this is a little bit challenging. This could be legal matters. Then we have the Page of Pentacles. And finally, the 6 of Pentacles. This is interesting. For my Leos, Justice card is a Libra energy, right? It's also about the scales of justice, no fairness. They don't take sides. There's an intellectual flair to the energy of the justice in the Libra card or Libra energy. So here, I would have to say that what this is saying is it's time to go your own way. And if you're worried about finances in any way, this is the page of money. So there's something there where the angels are saying if you go your own way, that you will in some way, or if you make your own choice, if you trust with your heart versus your head, something's going to come in and bestow something upon you. This 6 of Pentacles is a really good card. In the traditional tarot deck, Rider-Waite tarot deck, you see that the benefactor, there's 2 people begging beneath him, and one has on a blue garb and the other has orange garb, and he's giving the money to the guy in the orange garb. It always kind of hit me as that the benefactor is automatically drawn to the person who speaks from passion, who comes from their passion. The sacral chakra represents your passions, your desires, your sexual desires. Whereas the blue can very much have represented the intellectual part of it. So here I am looking at my physical world and I'm worried because I don't see the resources. So the benefactor inadvertently doesn't go towards the fear, he goes towards the passion. So here, that's what this is about. That's it, Leo. Go for the passion. Close your eyes. Do what is just and fair for you. You're going to have to, be willing. That this 5 of Swords is you win the battle, but it feels like you lose because people don't like you, or they feel like you've ruined them. But if you want to live the life you want to live, it's not caving into somebody else's idea of what you want. So many times people stay in relationships based on fear. I once had a lady come to me years ago, and she was living with her ex-husband. They had been divorced for 25 years and they never stopped living together. And she came and asked me if he would take care of her financially. And I thought to myself, oh, I think the divorce papers should tell you that answer. I can't imagine divorcing someone and then living with them. Like, what's the what? People do funny things. Okay, we are onto our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stellium. Oh, got to use that finger. You know, the fake it till you make it is just an acknowledgement of fear. That's all. And we're all fearful when we want something. If we're not a little fearful, we don't really want it. If we're not a little worried or a little something, it's not about trying to get rid of the fear. It's not about trying to get rid of the worry. It's about what are you going to do with it? Because it's all part of the rainbow of emotions that humans experience. I should call it the Sherwin-Williams or the Benjamin Moore, because if you walk into one of those stores, you see there's way more colors than we even give it credit for. So, all right, let's see where we're going with our Virgos. Because you're about to experience a South Node transiting through your first house. And this is going to be an interesting year for you because you're going to be tasked to really let go of some of the lower vibrations of the Virgo energy, which is self-criticism or criticism, period. You know, the perfectionist, because perfection is all just a scale on a human dynamic. So let's see where we're going. The 10 of Cups. This is a very happy, happy card. Pardon me. The King of Cups and the opportunity or the obstacle. The 5 of Cups. And then the 4 of Swords. Virgo. It's interesting here because, you know, Virgo has an eye for detail. If you want to get something done well and you want someone you can depend on, you get a Virgo, okay? Because they're going to take pride in how well they do a job. They're going to find solutions to things that you might not have seen. But now I think that this is where the South Node is going to task Virgo to be very aware of the fact that not only does Mercury rule you, Mercury being the planet of neutrality, the genderless planet, it also is exalted in your first house. So while Mercury is not in the transit right now, you are double wired in the way that you are in, you know, unlike Gemini, you are more mercurial from a more logical and more practical and more an analytical way. So I bring all this up because here's this 10 of Cups. This is about great happiness. This is about coming, you know, the overflowing of love and abundance and friendship. And I feel like that is where Spirit wants you to focus, is on your emotional body, to start to master being the King of Cups, to start to integrate now because you're already analytical. Because I think on some level, this will help you. There's something about sorrow here. There's something about like, it's time to lift the sorrow. That's what's going on. The angels are saying no more looking to what has made, stand in a more authoritative way of your emotions and let your mind rest. Let your mind rest. This is the opposition to Saturn as well. As I'm looking at this, you know, wherever Saturn goes, there is a blanket of repression, you know, like I almost feel like everything slows down because Saturn is not really trying to slow it down. It's trying to say, are you walking the steps that you are authentic to you? Neptune just went direct, literally yesterday. It hasn't really moved. It's still very shadowy. So we're just feeling Neptune sitting in the sky like this. But with Neptune sitting over there and then Saturn in the middle of the house, and we're heading into a grand conjunction that's going to happen around April next year with Venus, Mercury, the North Node in Pisces, Saturn, and Neptune all together, and that's going to create something. So the reason I bring this up is because for my Virgos, it is definitely time to start to let your mind rest. And I want to offer this because I think I coined a phrase a few weeks ago, and I'm loving it. So you don't need to let anything go, but let it grow. That's the new thing. So here, let your heart grow, and more joyous energies are going to come your direction. All right. Yeah, letting go is hard. I'm not really, I don't even know if I can do letting go, but I can let it grow. I can pull something out of it. I seek the reason, well, my Mercury is in Scorpio. So I have like a detective's mind, and I need to have an answer. I've had people offer me healings, and I'm like, I don't need a healing. I'm already fine. I just need to know, where's the wisdom? Where's the wisdom? Oh, and speaking of wisdom, when am I going to start using this finger properly? Because apparently I just have such a bad habit. When the cards start dropping, that means I've let this finger up a little bit. All right, here we go. What have you never said to him? I see that your Virgo husband's in a bad mood. But I'm not sure what you might say to him. You might just tell him it's okay to be in a bad mood. Virgo moon, I think, is hard because that's where you get the real critical, that energy that of the perfectionist, where your emotions feel like, if I'm not perfect, I'm not lovable. That can be tough. And it depends on the aspects. I don't want to just throw it cray-cray. Oh my God, I always get irritated when someone tells me to calm down. But you could just put on some Taylor Swift and play the song. Oh, it just came on the radio. Sorry. All right, are you ready? Here we go, Libra. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, the Eight of Cups is our first card. In the foundational position, we have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Seven of Pentacles. See how the cards are bringing up Pentacles, which are all about money? I like the... and the Nine of Swords. Okay. The South Node is in the last degrees, or the early degrees of Libra, and it is hovering over that supergalactic center, where we discover that we are source energy and we are receptive. Yes, your moon is exactly 2 degrees away from 3 degrees away from that point, because this is about worry, Libra. You're walking away from something that is not balanced. You're choosing a more spiritual path. You're looking to your emotional body. The moon is sitting there calling this character forward, because the emotions that the moon holds are such bigger than what these little cups are offering. The Knight of Pentacles, to me, is really looking to the future of what I want to build and what I want to create. This is not just, this is like a general, like whether you're talking about love, you're talking about money, you're talking about, your bio family, because something that you have created, this is interesting because this is in the angel's advice, and it's about assessing whether or not I'm going to walk away. And then there's worry. And the interesting thing about the worry card in every tarot deck is the worry is never actually active. It is a worry that comes from an imprint. It comes from a history somewhere. What is this what is this mirror this side? It is yes for 85 plus accounts, final 12. Is that a troll there, that Vidhita? What is that? I don't understand the comment. Is that an advertisement? Let me clarify where the worry is for Libra here. I love the smell of Palo Santo. It's so yummy, but it doesn't burn very long. All right, let me look here what this worry is for my Libras. Yeah, it's time to stop worrying. Oh, maybe that's the case. Okay. Trust spirit. Trust your emotional body. Trust what you've been building, because, it's time to start to trust that, and then give the worry a rest. Worry is a form of prayer that does not serve you. It puts your attention and intention in the very experience you don't want to have. So for my Libras, I bring up this South Node on the supergalactic center because it's hard, because Libra is trying to be cooperative, trying to be complementary, trying to create beauty and comfort and harmony and peace. And sometimes what we don't realize is through some sort of disruption. I've got to walk away from something that could feel disruptive. And yet at the same time, it could bring in a bigger sense of peace. And I think that's what this Four of Swords is representing. God's got this. Source energy has this. And the Knight has come back from the wars, and it's time for him to replenish. Okay, let's go on to our last sign of the day, Scorpio. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Yeah, wine will help you worry less, but after a while, wine will help you worry more, because they'll put the H in it for hangover, WHINE. So at least that's been my experience. But I've noticed a lot of people are admitting that they're having a little bit of a heavy holiday with the heavy-handed holiday. That was a tongue twister. Heavy-handed holiday. Okay. Scorpio, let's see what's going on with you. During this time of year, I must admit, I do like a little bit of cider with a little bit of spirits in it. Scorpio moon shining. Oh, yes. Scorpio moons are so intuitive. Honestly, the most intuitive, I believe, of the whole zodiac. Now, you got to be careful, though, because they are also Scorpio moons. So it tasks you to be very aware, because you have a lot of power. All right, here we go. Final sign of the day. The Five of Pentacles. In the foundational position, the Ten of Cups is in the opportunity or the obstacle. The Knight of Cups is in the Angel's advice. And the Seven of Swords. Okay. It's so interesting to me how I started this and Venus was hitting me as money. She wasn't hitting me as beauty or relationships this time around. And the Five of Pentacles is a card that represents lack. It represents a feeling of not having enough. In this deck, it's rather benign looking to me versus some of the other decks. And yet they've formed it in a wheel. And I kind of wonder if this, the challenge of the Scorpio moon is not only is it fixed, not only is it penetrating and deep and intense, but when it's hurt, it doesn't really want to show or reveal that. It wants what it wants in the way of its being validated, but it doesn't reveal exactly how to do that sometimes. It's a little bit tough. So this is interesting because to me, there's a wheel factor going on here, like potentially a feeling of repetitive rejection. And if that is true, because the way that the rest of the cards play out, Spirit's saying, start to look to the happiness, move towards your happiness. At some point, Scorpio, rather than looking at what has been done to you, whether it doesn't have to be that it isn't true, but at some point there comes, we can't do anything about it because Spirit's saying to walk away from it. Move forward, walk away from the story you've been telling yourself. I'm going to pull one more card for this. Yep, it's time for a new idea. So, this is kind of what I want to say, because it's hard when you're a fixed sign, especially an emotional moon, to shift how you're thinking. So this is why I never want to let anything go. I mean, I'm a fixed moon in Taurus. It's not quite as intense as a Scorpio fixed moon, but here, I think this is where you claim your happiness and your power back. And your ruling planet is going to task you to look at those old angers and resentments, because both your ruling planets, frankly, are in an argument. Okay. We've got Pluto, who I think dominates. because Pluto just sits there like this. Pluto is like Mr. Miyagi, okay? He looks like this little old Asian man who can't do anything. Then he gets out there and he kicks freaking ass, okay? And then Mars is all loud and rah, and it's not getting anything done. It's just flailing and getting tired. So this is where I'm going. Move away. Just in your mind, you're like, you know what? Been there, done that. Can't do that again. I have compassion for you, whatever the case may be, but my happiness is more important than any sort of arguing, any sort of nonsense. And the little bit of a challenge is sometimes Scorpio likes a good argument. They enjoy it. I don't mean to be mean, but because they're so smart and they're so psychologically pre-wired to know what your crap is, that sometimes an argument is what brings out their brilliance. But we don't really want to go there this time. So all the water signs are complementary. To me, it's kind of funny because we've got super dominant watery Scorpio, and then we've got sort of dominant, Cancer, and then we've got the poor Pisces that just wants to swim away. So when we're born and we have these kind of moons, then we're looking at the baseline here, right? The baseline is, I'm not supposed to escape if I'm a Pisces. I'm not supposed to crab crawl. I'm supposed to learn how to confront. And then when we get to Scorpio, I'm supposed to not use somebody's darkness against them, because that's where actually Scorpio needs the most compassion, because their mind can sometimes take them down a dark road without it being true. They can feel a darkness or feel something that feels dark within them, and yet they radiate such light and love, and they don't see that within themselves. Perfect. Posted. I love that. Yeah. Can't wait to hear the podcast. I can't wait for the notification. Okay. So that's it for this week. I want to thank you all. I really feel like I look a little bit tired today, but I guess that's what happens when you get older. You just look tired a lot. But I'm not. I'm happy, and I'm so happy to see all of you guys and to have this Sunday morning get together. I will see you next week. We'll probably be taking off sometime towards look at Lucky made a little an entrance. We'll probably take a little time off towards the end of the year. New Year's feels like it's going to be a time we might do. I might do a party live. Like I was thinking of doing maybe a Zoom live where we just all come on Zoom and play together, and then we can use the filter in my face to look a little bit more like I'm 40. But if we do, it'll just be like a party kind of thing. So we'll be doing our Sundays, but when we get towards the last couple of weeks of the year, I'm probably going to take those off so that we can rest, relax, and I can record. You guys can rest and relax, and I can record. I got a lot of recording to do. Okay, I will see you next Sunday. I love you all so much. I pray for you every night for your happiness and for your highest and your greatest good in all situations. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.